if this is true, it means that the ancients were really advanced in their technology. These are pictures from Hydra of ancient construction in Syria. And the things in front of us, as you can see, are the sculptures of Sphinx, whereas a man on the top left-hand side is standing in what appears to be giant footprints. Now, we shouldn't be surprised. We've already talked about the Atlanteans. They were giants. And if you refer to the Old Testament, there are many times where they explain the fact that the Philistines, the giants Philistines of the area of the Promised Land of Israel, one of them being Goliath, was a giant. He and his 5 brothers were Philistines. And the Philistines came from the island of Crete. They were Cretan, of the Minoan Crete of ancient Greece. And we should not be surprised. Even the Atlanteans, we were told, were giants, and they lived for thousands of years. Could they actually be the Nephilim, the Genesis giants, as we read in Genesis 6? We know that before the flood, there were these giants, Nephilim, and they were also there, remained a few of them after the flood, exactly as the Atlantean Thoth writes in his Emerald Tablets. And again, you could see, if you want to refer to some of those videos, I have a playlist for those videos because I read the Emerald Tablets for you, and they're there for your very interesting information that he writes. Now, if this is applicable, then the ancients were indeed very advanced. The 3 giant footprints have a very unique theory as to how they got there. And if it's true, then it means that ancient civilizations were really far advanced. This temple is in Ain Dara. It's a small village located to the northwest of Aleppo in Syria. It's known for several remarkable constructions, including the ancient temple to the west of the village, discovered by chance recently in 1955, when a colossal royal lion was found. You know, a lot of these things have been covered by sand. We can take a look at what was happening in Egypt. The end of the 19th century, you know, the time when Napoleon Bonaparte went to visit the Giza Plateau, the Sphinx was covered up to its neck in sand. For example, this here is an image of 1860. You can see the Sphinx is covered up to its neck in sand, 1860. And the upcoming image is from an aerial image taken of the Sphinx in 1920. So what happened here? A lot of these ancient structures were covered in sand. Obviously, there was some kind of a huge earth change in the whole area. They do say that they have had asteroid strikes recently found in 2004 or 2014. 2004 in the southwest of Egypt, and 2014 in Iraq, which is not far. It was just basically southeast of Syria. And they found that these areas were, in fact, impacted by asteroids, and they set off volcanic eruptions. And it could be that these eruptions also caused, some kind of explosions having to do with quartz sand explosions, even tsunamis. This was supposedly had taken place 5,000 years ago. All right, so a lot of these things were probably covered up by earth changes. Something happened at that time. But going back to this, as a result of this find, by chance, in 1955, the excavations were carried out in the following years, and they relieved fascinating pieces of unknown history dating somewhere between 1,300 and 740 BC. But the prehistory of the wider region is estimated around 7,000 BC at least. So that's about 10,000 years, 9,000 years ago at least. Could it be that these things were buried because of the comet impact that took place around 13,000 years ago? We know that we had a comet impact because they found a layer of soot, that everything was burned to a crisp in North America. Then they found the same thing happen in Northern Europe, and they credited that to a comet strike. Then this comet strike was found in various parts of the world, even Africa, South Africa and Australia, South America. They said that it was a huge comet that cut into various pieces and impacted the world. So that was the Younger Dryas period, about 13,000 years ago. Now, archaeologists are still not sure as to which deity this temple is dedicated to, although there are numerous sculptures and reliefs that adorn the walls and the wider area. They can't help scholars decide who was the deity that this temple was dedicated to. But what captures the interest of experts and tourists is these giant footprints of a pair of soles on the stone floor. They are at the entrance of the temple and measure about 3 feet in length. And if this is applicable, then ancients were very forward, were very advanced. The mystery goes even deeper when everyone's surprised eyes met another third footprint, not too far from the first two. And if you look at it from above, it's like telling, it's like as if he was sort of indicating to you which path to take. It's like saying, go this way, you know? So it's said that there is evidence that once giants roamed the earth. And in fact, that the mythology of the surrounding area indicates a time when giants, demigods, and gods wandered the earth, leaving their mark behind them. What many consider to be a myth, for many researchers and writers, is a reality. Perhaps, indeed, these huge beings, these giants, had once were once, at one point in time, considered to be gods. Okay? Now we know, as we said before in the various videos having to do with just recently, yesterday, with the China pyramids, the ancient pyramids in China, that are aligned just like the Giza pyramids. Well, there are legends that those pyramids were built before the Chinese first emperors, and that the first emperors of China were actually the sons of these star gods that came from the sky and built these pyramids. It wasn't the Chinese that built them. These star gods built them, and the first emperors were the offspring of these star gods. It reminds us of the Genesis giants and the Nephilim that saw that the daughters of men were good and fair, and they had offspring with them. Same thing with the Native American Indian legends that talk about the sky people, the sky gods that came from the skies and taught them technologies and how to hunt and ethics and morals and life philosophy. And it's the same thing with China. And that they were giants as well. And they had advanced technology. So these footprints, were these statues of similar height mounted here? Do they represent any of these ancient gods? Were they placed there for aesthetic reasons? No one could say for sure. Let's remember that we do have accounts of giants in the Old Testament. And also the fact that the Minoans of Crete, the southernmost island of Greece, they were called Philistines, and they came to the Levant and Israel and Egypt. It looks like they relocated themselves there because of the upcoming eruption of Thera volcano, the Santorini volcano, that blew about 1,500 BC. And there were no skeletons found in Santorini, by the way, which means that everybody evacuated before the big eruption took place. So it could be that these people were relocating to all these areas across the Mediterranean Sea towards North Africa and Israel and the Levant. And they were giants. They were big people. They were huge. They were like anywhere from 7, 8, 9 feet tall to 16, 30 feet tall. I don't know. Every time you read something, it's another size. The Philistines, we know that Goliath and his brothers were Philistines. They were giants, and they had 6 fingers, 6 toes. Now, are they proof that there's something more shocking? These supposedly gods, quote unquote. There are quite a few completely different explanations for what these footprints can mean. Some are evidence of the existence of ancient giants as a reminder of the distant ages that gods walked the earth, quote unquote. They were also interpreted as signs of direction leading to the temple or somewhere else, and they say they were about ancient aliens. Oh, who knows? Now, one theory that stands out is that these footprints are, quote unquote, the traces of God, of the gods. And they say that they are the footprints of them in our own dimension. In other words, they are interdimensional beings. And these footprints are here given to us, left in our materialistic dimension. That is, they are traces of beings of another dimension, of the gods were from another dimension, that if viewed in our world, we'd only see the traces of their footprints. So we should consider, if we lived in a two-dimensional world, such as a huge sheet of paper with no length or width, without height, then if a three-dimensional being stepped onto our two-dimensional world, it would leave a single footprint, its soul, the sole of its foot. It's an amazing theory, if indeed the people of that time had a perception of the multi-dimensional worlds as we understand today. Now, another interesting feature of the Temple of Ain Dara in Syria is its similarity to the biblical description of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. It should be noted here that there are other temples in this area that are comparable to the Temple of Ain Dara in Syria and the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem of Israel. These temples are Ebla, Emar, and Mumbaka, and it is not easy to identify who preceded and who was influenced architecturally by whom. Were the Israelites influenced by former temples in Egypt or in Syria or in other areas? Or were these other areas influenced by Solomon's temple? Now, the three reliefs of the footprints of the Ain Dara temple in Syria continue to be a mystery that may never be resolved. So, tell me what you think. Please leave your comments. I find it very, very intriguing and compelling. And we will go into the temples of Ebla, Emar, and Munbaka, and also the temple of Solomon in Israel. We should do that as well. Thank you for your support. Please leave your comments. Ring the bell for more updated videos. Subscribe and share. Please be very careful. Wash your hands often. God bless you all. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.